How's it going, Guardians? I wanted to make a quick video for Titans because they fixed Solar Throwing Hammer yesterday, and I was playing with it yesterday, and I can finally say that this bonk build is back on top. This bonk build is disgusting. It is a Worm God bonk build for Solar Titan. Obviously, it was never a bad build. Bonk has always been a very good build to use. However, with the changes to the melee stat, as well as the scaling for a lot of things like Wormgods and Roaring Flames, it has gotten only better and better. Even things like 1-2 punch are going to work with this now. This loadout doesn't have it on because I was just farming yesterday, and I was rather take Sunshot to farm because it was making it a little bit faster. But if you needed to pump the melee damage up, taking a 1-2 punch hand cannon or a 1-2 punch shotgun is going to increase the damage of this even more. Right now, if you max out Roaring Flames and Wormgods, you're looking at a 9x damage buff just raw, where we used to have a 3x damage buff with synthos and Roaring Flames max back in the day. So Bonk Hammer is doing way more damage than it used to the point where I was 3-shotting Briggs and Devil's Lair on Master Matchmaking, which was pretty awesome. Worked very, very well there. Obviously, in some situations where you're not going to be able to get your melee off safely, maybe you will want to take a different build. But in most content, if you're able to just spam Bonk Hammer, even if you're at 50 stat, you can get this back at like 55 roughly, guaranteed every time. And if you're going over 50, you're obviously going to get the refund back instantly. We are back to OG Hammer Toss in D2, not the cooldown version, not the one where it's bouncing farther away. So it has been a lot of fun. So just really quickly, I want to point out the stats that I'm using in this footage that you're going to see. It is just 180 of strength with a strength font, getting us up to 200 there for our melee stat for a 30% buff, using Wormgods, and then Roaring Flames, which goes up to 200% once it's stacked. So if you stack both of these up all the way, you're getting a ton of extra damage. The fragments really don't matter that much. I am taking torches because we're going to be hitting things with melee. Might as well get Radiant. Extra duration on Radiant and Restoration. You can swap that out with Empyrean. I had both. I just kind of like switching between them because sometimes I'm already in the sunspots almost all the time. So I'd rather just have the extra duration instead of it being reset constantly when I go in. So you can take your pick between Solace and Empyrean. Searing's on here just as a way to get my melee back in case I lose it, because your melees with Roaring Flames up will do Scorch on any hit, so just doing that will get you your hammer back in like 3 kills. And then Ashes is on here because why not? Sunspots do a pretty good amount of Scorch, so you can get some decent ignitions off with this setup. I am taking Fusion Grenade because I have such a low grenade stat. This gives me still a reasonable cooldown of about a minute and a way to scorch enemies to make more sunspots and get my hammer back and charge Roaring Flames. If you want, switching to Healing Grenade is not a bad pick here. I just kind of prefer the consistency of using Fusion Grenade with this because Sol Invictus already gives me so much healing. I just don't feel the need to take a Healing Grenade. If you are able to get some more grenade stat, obviously Healing Grenade is a good pick. Firebolts are also better at scorching enemies now with Fusion Grenade. You can do both of those to keep Sol Invictus and Roaring Flames up. Or you can switch it out for something like Thermite, Incendiary, or Swarm Grenade. I would probably stay away from Solar Grenade on Titan. There's just no buffs to it really, and it's a longer cooldown than the other ones. Now, Wormgods does stack up to ×5 these days. If you are maxed out, it is a 400% melee damage buff and a 35% weapon buff. So the extra damage on something like Sunshot is pretty nice, helping you get those AoE kills. It will scale down to a 20% bonus damage at 2 stacks. So you want to keep your stacks up. This will last about 30 seconds overall, just giving you a buff. And any buff is a huge chunk over no buff. So Wormgods is doing great. You can take Synthos if you want. Synthos, if you have them procced, is about a ×3 of Wormgods. So some situations, Synthos is going to be more consistent. Wormgods has a bit of a higher peak and also works with your weapons. So I've just been running Wormgods. I think it's a lot of fun compared to the power cap where we used to be at with this build. And then just make sure you have things that boost your melee. We want some extra hands-on here, some heavy-handeds to make some orbs. And that's pretty much it. I would say maybe Paragon armor is the go-to here. I don't have any good Paragon sets that have a high enough melee stat for me to be switching just yet. However, at some point, you might want to mix in some of those to get your super stat up to about 70 or higher if possible. And then make sure you're getting that 200 melee stat for that bonus damage. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of footage just to show off the build. But this build is a lot of fun right now, very survivable. As long as you don't do anything dumb, like fly into the middle of a room with no enemies in it and get sniped by 6 Vandals at once, because that'll still kill you. the restoration on this build already keeps you alive through most of the things in this game. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to do, taking it into harder content in the future. Feel free to use this. Let me know what you think down below. And if you're going to be going to play Bonk, let me know what you think of how it's performing in other content, because I haven't taken it into everything yet. Take it into Raid if you want, and let me know how that's doing there as well. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. This is,
how about you one shot the tank?
I cannot do that, actually. I've tried.
No.
I can get close.
You know.
Oh, goodbye. I have been fucking launched into the stratosphere. Okay, I do actually one-shot each leg.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty
So
sure
I can't one-shot the tank, but I can one-shot each part
the
of
leg
the
of the tank.
Yeah.